I don't know if you can, but can you get an owner for ONS? That's ONS Junior Market. The address is 1934 East Anaheim. All the windows are busted out, and it's like a free-for-all here, and the owner should maybe come down here and see if he can secure his business if he wants to.
April 26, 1992. There was a riot on the streets. Tell me, where were you? You were sitting home watching your TV while I was participating in some anarchy. First spot we hit, it was my liquor store. I finally got all that alcohol I can't afford. With red lights flashing, time to retire, and then we turned that liquor store into a structure fire. Next stop we hit, it was the music shop. It only took one break to make that window drop. Finally we got our own PA. Where do you think I got this guitar that you're hearing today? Hey!
Call fire and tell them to respond to the mobile station. That will be us in Anaheim. It's flaming up good.
For Alameda Station, Anaheim.
Homicide, never doing no time. When we returned to the pad to unload everything, it dawned on me that I need new home furnishings. So once again we filled the van until it was full. Since that day my living room's been much more comfortable, cause everybody in the hood is added up to here. It's getting hotter and hotter and harder each and every year. Some kids went in a store with their mother. I saw her when she came out, she was getting some peppers. They said it was for the black man, they said it was for the Mexican, and not for the white man. But if you look at the street, it wasn't about Rodney King. It's not this fucked up situation and these fucked up police. It's about coming up and staying on top and screaming 187 on a motherfucking cop.
For a while now, I think black people on YouTube, or just black people in general, well, I say in the last 20, maybe 25 years, or maybe longer, people have always questioned whether or not we know what racism is, or they like to say that blacks are racist. No such thing as a black racist. Okay? Blacks have never been in a position where we can dictate what happens to somebody else's life. Okay? I want people to understand that racism is about power. And while blacks do have power, don't know what to do with that power, we're not in charge of anything. We didn't go into somebody else's country and enslave a people or distort historical facts. We didn't break up families. We didn't rape men, women, or children. We didn't hang men, women, or children or mutilate their bodies and take pictures with their bodies. We didn't keep white men's penises as souvenirs. We didn't go into white women's homes and rape them just for shits and giggles and let them produce a child. Those are the original baby daddies and baby mamas. We didn't keep white people from going to school. We didn't keep white people from getting jobs. We don't make mockery of white people every freaking day, whether it be at school, whether it be on television like cartoons, comedies, whether it be at the movies or in music or in print, or just walking down the street. But yet they say we're racist. We don't keep people from going into banks getting loans, or when they do get loans, car or home or business, and charge them high interest rates. We don't gentrify communities. We don't cause division among other people. We don't go into their communities terrorizing them. But yet we get accused of racism or reverse racism. And if you really think about it, it has to be racism in order for it to be reverse racism. And if a black person say they don't like a white person, or if they say something that normally we would find derogatory or harmful, understand where that person is coming from. For 500 more years, our people around this globe have been victimized. Think about it. I've said in videos that, there's ways that I can tell a person's racist, and there's ways you can too. And it starts at a very young age. You have a BS meter. Kids as young as 6 months, and even maybe younger, can tell when somebody is violent toward them, or they get a vibe. They don't want to be around anybody. I've seen it. Watch the next infant and they go around somebody, watch them pick them up, watch how fast they cry. But there are people who they barely been around, they don't even cry for. They stay cool and smile and everything. It's not until you get about 5 or 6 and up that you start to lose that BS meter in some cases, because you've been conditioned to hide your feelings or lie about certain things. Now, I always said I would never tell people how you catch a racist, but I thought about it. It's something that they can't get around. Watch him quote Dr. King, the 1963 "I Have a Dream" Dr. King. Watch him quote that Dr. King all the time. They've been holding that version of Dr. King over our heads ever since the moment he gave that speech. Now, turn around and say, well, okay, then that means you agree with Dr. King. That means you meet with Reverend Sharpton, Reverend Jackson, Mr. Farrakhan, Reverend White, and watch their demeanor change. No, they hate monks. Wait a minute. They've said the very same things that Dr. King said. And matter of fact, if you go back and do your research on Dr. King was more like Malcolm X when he first started than he was in the middle of his life. And Dr. King was more like Malcolm X in his life. He started talking about the wars, the finance. That's why they took him out. As long as he was telling black folks to march them down about going into stores or going to certain schools, that was cool. Because eventually those men and women wanted to move out of the city anyway. So they wanted us to have the dilapidated buildings that already was in poor conditions. So when we moved in, the landlords figured, oh, it's just niggers. We ain't going to fix their buildings. We're not going to fix the schools. And then people stopped blaming them because these landlords was making these people pay ungodly sums of money for properties that was falling apart 20, 30 years prior. Here it is, Reverend White had said the same thing that Dr. King and every other black pastor have said, or said at some point. But you let Fox News start the mudslinging and lies, and then ABC came down and gave it validation, and now every time they talk about Reverend White, they play his clips out of context. They show the most demeaning pictures. They never play what he said in full context, but yet these very same people love some Dr. King. This is how you know they not being honest. They criticize Farrakhan, Malcolm X, Jackson, Sharpton, any other black man or black woman stood up and say something. But you love Dr. King. That's how you catch a racist. Watch him mention Dr. King. Watch him mention Mahatma Gandhi. And then I'm telling y'all, do your research on Gandhi. He wasn't as down with the black people as y'all like to think he was. Same thing with Abraham Lincoln. Do your damn research, people. This is why I say we got predominantly black schools, and our children are learning lies. Now, there's other ways you can tell a racist, but I ain't gonna tell you because then they're trying to change things to keep you from guessing. But guess what? If you have experienced enough racism, you'll know it. But I'm gonna tell you something. I don't want to accuse the entire group, but there's always been people with every generation who are black who can't pick up on racism. But I'm gonna let you know, those born in the late 70s all up until now, there's some who can't catch it. Their mothers and fathers or their grandparents or aunts and uncles never sat down and told them, hey, listen, this is what you gotta listen for or look for. I had made a video saying that, some of our sisters don't see it. They don't get the racism that a black man get. It's a special type of racism that's reserved for us. And some got offended by it. And I was trying to tell some of these sisters, I'm not saying you guys don't get racism thrown at you. But when it comes down to a black man, it's also a tug of war about manhood. But when you add my skin tone on it, it's different. Me and my cousin was talking yesterday, and me and my girlfriend had a similar conversation. And I said, we never really seen it to this extent. I said it was always there. It's just that they trying y'all now, because they realize that black women in some cases are outdoing white men and white women. And they couldn't have it. As long as those some sisters out there are blocking brothers from getting to certain positions or doing certain things, they loved it. They figured they had to worry about us. But see, it's backfired, just like when the illegal immigrants have come in this country. And I'm not just talking about Mexicans. And I'm going to say this. When we talk about immigration, we got to stop focusing on one particular group of people, because there are a lot of hardworking men and women who've come over here who mean no harm to anybody. They just want to attain that American dream. Or I like to say the American distortion or the American nightmare. But that doesn't mean as black people that we should not be looking out for our interests. But people turn around and say that blacks are racist. There's no such thing as a black racist. Some people like to go to that video about that brother with the Black Panther Party, talk about, I can't stand a cracker. I want to kill some crackers. I want to kill the baby crackers, or however he said it. And people say, see, black people are racist. No. Those is a group of people in our community that are extremely angry. And you cannot dismiss that. Did anybody ever say, hey, brother, why are you so angry? Maybe somebody did something to him or his family. Or maybe he saw the conditions of his community. He recognized the tricks. And people automatically assume cracker, well, I guess you can say cracker can be considered a white person. Most of the crackers, and let me explain myself when you hear the term cracker. The slave master had like a foreman or overseer, or a boss. You know how in prisons where they got these guards, you had the head guards and stuff. Well, it was like that, and they carried a whip, or usually had a pistol on their hip. And when he would slap the whip to make the slaves move, it made a cracking sound. Or when it hit something, if he hit a slave, crack, hence cracker man, cracker of the whip. We've heard people say the crack of the whip. And see, we got to stop using terms like redneck. A lot of y'all don't realize that redneck was the term redneck came from a bunch of men that wanted to strike. I think they was working in the mountains or these mines. And to keep the owners from knowing who they were, they put a bunch of red handkerchiefs around their face. Hence, rednecks. See, we use terms and don't know where these terms are coming from, and they've been misplaced. Like the term Uncle Tom. People got it confused. It's actually Sambo is the one that's a sellout. See, when blacks don't use the traditional word nigger, white folks and some even self-hating black folks get pissed off at you. He's calling me a coon because they know them words are worse. Handkerchief head, they know the words are worse. Sambo. But when you call somebody a sellout, a house nigga, field nigga, Uncle Tom, people shrug it off because the terms have gotten so diluted and used, people don't know what they mean. But think about all the racial terms that have been used. It's more racial terms directed at black people or people of color in general. But when we point this stuff out, people say, nah, people used the word hunky. How many black people use the word hunky? And I said, y'all been watching too much George Jefferson reruns. These young brothers and sisters or kids don't know it. If they do hear, they hear from an older person, and people don't use that. I'm gonna tell you what word white people who are racist or borderline or willing to go either way. Say white devil to them and watch how they respond. Or if they blind, a blonde haired, blue-eyed devil, watch how they respond. Or if you stand your ground and say, be gone. I use the word be gone. I said, be gone, you bother me. Or are you finished? Watch how they react. But they say they're not racist. And I'm not saying all are, but enough on this planet is. Look how Donald Trump went out there and race baited. And let me tell you something. White folks don't even want to call white folks that do and say racist thing racist. They try to dance around and say, maybe you're misinformed, or, it's a small group, or they call them birthers. Call them what they are. See, they come up with cute terms for people who do these things. Mitt Romney, as guys say, he started to throw out, well, President Obama never held a job. He was just a politician and a community organizer. And he keeps saying community organizer. He think he's slick, and nobody in the media want to call us out. I remember the first time I heard Sarah Palin do it, that was called for he's a nigger. He works with other niggers, poor niggers. Dr. King was a community organizer. But that's why I'm telling you, you could tell a racist. So Dr. King's community organized, so you just saying Dr. King didn't do anything? Watch them start stutter. Watch them start tripping over themselves. But I've had white people say, but Harvey, I don't think that way. Okay, you don't think that way. Then you ain't got nothing to worry about. You ain't have nothing to prove to me, really. I mean, to be technically, they do. But you ain't got to keep telling me every 5 minutes, hey, did you see what happened on the news about this black guy, this black lady? Harvey, I don't know how to talk to black people. Talk to us like you talking to anybody else. And we will let you know if you cross the line. Some white people out there who have legitimately made mistakes and they meant no harm. And we know it. A lot of times said, brother, no problem. Sister, no problem. But we are the most despised people on the planet when in fact we don't have the history of violence that our white counterparts do. Think about it. You got people out here making videos praising a 17-year-old child's murder, sending money. That all the evidence is pointing to this man being a racist, hating people of color, when he's in fact a person of color. But white folks selling targets. You got people out here putting hoodies on, buying cans of iced tea and pack of Skittles, and pretending they Trayvon Martin. Now some don't mean it with any malice, but right now that's a little too soon. Just like I did on my other channel, I said Sunday Night Live is a little too soon for you to be doing that shit, these jokes. Here it is, that little boy, Eitan Pets, I believe, excuse me, I mispronounced his name. 1979, he went missing for 33 years. Today, it made 33 years. Okay? Today. Yesterday, the man that murdered him finally confessed to it. Do you see black people out there making channels mocking that little boy or his family? No, because why would we do that? Why would we be that insensitive? When Natalie Holloway went missing, did black people come out there and mock and make channels? When little white babies go missing, or white men or white women, do we go out there and mock and say, ha ha, that's what y'all get? When tornadoes hit, do we go out there and cheer and call white people thugs and criminals? No, but they say that stuff to our people. Yeah, there was a few people doing dumb things to Hurricane Katrina, but there have been people who are white have done dumb, questionable things. Yeah, people have taken phony scams saying they cancer patients or saying that they've been victims of a rape or whatnot, and people don't just sending money in. Remember Bethany Starro, the woman put acid on her face? People sending money into her. But if a black person point this out, you guys are reverse racists. You guys are just whiny. So for those who keep sending messages to me or coming to my channel, going to other YouTuber channels or just out in public saying, why do blacks have a chip on their shoulder? You would have a chip on your shoulder too if every waking moment you are reminded of your black skin. And I don't need to be reminded. I can look in the mirror. I can look down at my hands and know I'm a black man, or black women can look down at their hands. This is why I was pissed off about people outside the community or people of a different sexual preference comparing our plights. They're not the same. Gay white people would never understand what it's like to be a black person, straight or gay. White people would never understand what it's like to be a black man or black woman or black child. Y'all would literally go crazy if you had to live your life as a black person. It was a movie John Travolta did that surprisingly is not on DVD. You have to ask yourself why. Where the race roles were reversed. See, it's certain movies they don't want you to put out there. It came back out in 1995. I forgot. I gotta look it up. It's not on DVD. You don't see it replayed on television or cable. And I believe Harry Belafonte played in it. The reversals was reversed. Notice that movie Panther that Mario Van Peebles directed with Kadeem Hardison and Joe Don Baker and some more prominent brothers and sisters in it. You notice that's not out on DVD. Those they don't show that. They show maybe around Black History Month, and they just cutting back on showing issues or movies about our history. But we're the ones who are racist, right? When they do show stuff, they show perspective of white men and white women, and they always try to elevate the Jewish community like they've done so much for the black community. You got white women out here who latched onto the civil rights movement and turned around and stabbed the black community in the back, especially black women. Watch MSNBC, watch CNN, watch Fox especially, watch your local news. Watch these Hollywood type women talk all this shit about women's rights and equal treatment, but they turn around and crapped on people as well. It wasn't just the white man that was out there doing it. It was they had their women right along with them. But when you point that shit out, well, that was years ago. You guys need to get over it. Okay, you get over the Holocaust, you get over World War II, Pearl Harbor, you get over the Kennedy assassination, and then maybe blacks will move on. But y'all won't do that. Oh, let's not forget 9/11. Oh, he said, forget 9/11. How dare you? 3,000 people died. Well, guess what? Millions upon 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 millions of blacks have died. So when you start sending messages to me, other black YouTubers, or making videos, or calling us niggers and all this other stuff, you just prove us right. And ever since Mr. Obama got in office, y'all done came out the woodworks. Now, I mean, they was already out there, but y'all really came out in full force. Look how the Democrats have turned on President Obama. Did I not tell y'all this shit was going to happen? Harvey, you're being paranoid. Those white people are good Democrats. Those black people are good Democrats. See, I already knew what the Republicans on. They never hid theirs. And that's one thing I got to give the Republicans. They'll deny it, but they never hid it. But yet, Harvey, why do you think white people are so racist? Well, I just went through all the list of things that white folks do. Not all, but enough. Where are the videos of white folk out here calling out other white folks? I mean, there's some out here, but it's not nearly enough. I have people as far as England calling me nigger. Well, at least they say they're from England. They could be anywhere. But you get what I'm saying. I've had white people come to my channel and want to challenge me on historical facts. I'm like, wait a minute, I am a black man. I can go by my experiences alone. Then when they start calling out my name, I block them. They go find a black self-hating YouTuber to talk with us about. And like food, yeah, I hate Harvey. Oh, I hate this guy. This is why I tell brothers and sisters on YouTube, stop with this fighting each other. There are people out here shooting our people down as we speak. There are men and women training who have joined armed forces, who got in the armed forces, and every weekend they go out to these different woods and forest preserves all around the country, and what do? They want to see us dead. But instead of y'all asking the brothers and sisters who was in the armed services or were police officers or have law or into law, how can we combat these things? Y'all attack us. Y'all strengthen those people. Y'all give those people cover. When the whole Trayvon thing went down and blacks started to wake up to it and start to protest, what was the first thing people on the right and left said? Well, blacks kill each other every day. No, we don't. Every time something happens in our community, it's not necessarily by the hands of another black man or black woman, but there are blacks who do it. But does that discount what Trayvon went through? No. I remember the time when I first started doing my videos, I used to say in every video, not all. But after a while, I got tired of saying it because I have not seen a steady stream of outpouring or support. This is why I laugh at these occupiers and those people, those NATO protesters. But I was pissed off at any person of color that was down there because you know damn well they don't come in our community marching with us. But when they get their nigger moment, and everybody gets a nigger moment, but well, let me say that they get their semi-nigger moment because these people, they really understood the pain of other people. They wouldn't have done the things they've done. For years, we talked about jobs. We talked about education. We talked about communities. We talked about discrimination in other forms. You guys need to pull yourself out by your bootstraps. You guys are just whining. Now you trust fund babies can't get the jobs you want, or you can't live where you want. Oh God, what are we gonna do? Do what every other human being has done. Suck it up. Like I hear people talk about this recall in Wisconsin about the governor, Scott Walker. Y'all voted for him. Y'all dumbass neighbors voted for him. This is what y'all get. Just like when our people vote. If you don't go out there and ask people or demand shit, you can't bitch and moan. You got black folks in the Chicago area within the city limits of Chicago complaining about Rahm Emanuel when me and other brothers and sisters say, don't vote for him. Well, he was with the Obama administration, but he was also with the Clinton administration too. He has dual citizenship. What did he have dual citizenship with? Y'all do the research. Well, what did he do with the Clinton administration? Some of y'all need to go do some major research. He seems like a nice guy. Yeah, he seems like a nice guy, but guess what? There's two sides of this man. Well, actually four. People say, well, don't everybody have different sides? Yeah, but I've been consistent with my shit. I'm not going to go to black communities and hug and kiss on women, children, and shake men in hand and then say, yeah, we're going to do this to get in office. Oh, we can't do that. We got to cut programs. Where was all them white men and white women that marching when they was cutting programs in our community? Where are they at when black people are being put out of their homes? But yet we're racist. But when something happened to them, we taking donations. Or somebody killed my child. Oh, we gotta go out here and find this guy. We gotta be taking donations. Send it to this bank. You got men in hunting gear out in the woods. You see shotguns. But the moment we say something, they want to cause a race war. They're taking the law in their own hands. Buddy, you can't do that. This is how you tell who was racist. They don't even want us marching in our own community. You watch those NATO protests. When those white people is hitting on them police officers, do you think if that was a black person, they wouldn't have shot us down? Their brothers have done less and got murdered. Well, they didn't do none of that crap. So don't come to my channel saying that blacks are racist when blacks have not demonstrated racist tendencies. Because if blacks truly done it, you would know it. So don't come to my channel or other brothers and sisters' channel or saying that shit in public like you're going to get some sympathy from me. Fuck no.
Hardly a day goes by that someone of prominence, a politician, a talk show host, an entertainer, doesn't call some conservative, or conservatives generally, racist. Here are typical examples. The chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Congressman Steve Israel. To a significant extent, conservatives are animated by racism. TV newscaster Ed Schultz. This is what the Republican Party stands for. Racism. Oprah Winfrey. There's a level of disrespect for the office that occurs in some cases, and maybe even many cases, because the president is African American. There's no question about that. To call someone a racist should be a very serious matter. A racist is a person who believes that one race is inherently superior or inferior to another. It's not intelligence or goodness that determines an individual's worth. It's his or her skin color. To say that racism is foolish and stupid, not to mention evil, is to understate the case. But according to many of their critics, conservatives are that stupid and that evil. But with few exceptions, conservatives are neither. So why is the charge even made? The answer is primarily political. To maintain black support for liberals and liberal policies. To back up this charge, the accusers point to conservative policies. So let's examine some conservative policies to see if they are indeed racist. The long-standing conservative opposition to affirmative action is a good place to start. It was Democratic President John F. Kennedy who first used the term affirmative action in 1961. But affirmative action, in the way we think of it now, wasn't implemented until 1970. During the administration of a Republican president, Richard Nixon. The theory was that, because of historical discrimination, blacks were at a competitive disadvantage to other races and ethnicities. To erase that disadvantage, standards that most blacks presumably couldn't meet had to be lowered. One could make the case that this policy had some utility when it was first put in place. But that was a long time ago. The conservative position is that blacks have repeatedly proven they can compete with anyone without the benefits, demeaning benefits, I might add, of lower standards. There are countless examples of black success in every field at every level. The policy is no longer necessary. But the conservative argument goes further. Study after study shows that, in the case of college admissions, affirmative action actually hurts many blacks. By lowering admission standards for blacks and some other minority students, colleges set many of these students up for failure. They get placed in schools for which they're not prepared. And high black dropout rates confirm this view. So does common sense. If white students with mediocre SAT scores were admitted to Ivy League schools, they too would be set up to fail. Let's do the math. Conservatives believe that blacks and other minorities are every bit as capable as whites of succeeding as policemen, firemen, businessmen, lawyers, doctors, politicians, and college students. Yet for this belief, conservatives are called racist. The irony, of course, is that those who accuse conservatives of being racist believe that blacks and other minorities are not as capable as whites of succeeding and therefore still need affirmative action, almost a half century after it was first implemented. Let's look at another issue where this contrast between conservatives and those who accuse them of being racist is even more starkly drawn: voter ID. Conservatives say that America should require that every voter present an ID when he or she votes, just as European countries do in order to help keep their elections honest. Are all these democracies racist? Of course not. Yet the accusers say that conservatives who support voter ID are racist. Why do they say this? Because, they argue, it's really a ruse to prevent blacks and other minorities from voting, since many of them just aren't capable of acquiring an ID. Can you get more condescending than that? Let's be real. You need an ID to drive, to fly, to buy a beer, even to purchase some cold medicines. Whites can do it, but blacks can't? Tell me who the racists are again? One more example. It's conservatives who push for school vouchers, which would allow all parents, not just wealthy ones, to choose their children's school. It's the other side that doesn't trust minority parents to select an appropriate school for their children. Why aren't the people who compel black children to stay in terrible schools the racists? At some point, maybe you'll start asking yourself, like I did, who's really obsessed with race? And whose policies really hurt blacks and minorities? Maybe it's not who you think it is. I'm Derek Green of Project 21 for Prager University.
They can't keep a good man down. Always keep a smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Oh, Jah bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a draw first. But I'm so solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now.